everyone and welcome back to our channel. So today is gonna be February mediums in review, and I know that it's March, so it's a little bit late, but at least it's up. Without a super long intro, I'm just gonna get straight into the video. And the first film that I watched this month was The Maze Runner: The Death Cure. I read these books years ago, and I only watched these films while they were in theaters. So I kind of was a little bit lost, and I was like, wait, how did we get here again? Wait, what? Like, I remembered all the big plot points, but I forgot how we got there. So I knew the big things that were gonna happen, but everything else I was just like, what is happening? But I still really liked it. If you don't know, they're based on the Maze Runner books, and it's a trilogy, and this was the final installment. I thought it was really good. Basically, it picks up a few months after the last film ended, or the last book, or whatever. It starts with an action sequence, which is really good, and the film is pretty long, but it keeps you hooked the whole way through, which is good, and it's really interesting. It followed the book better than the second one did, because I remember thinking the second one didn't follow the book at all, but I don't think it followed the book as well as the first one. Again, I'm a little hazy on that storyline because I don't really remember, because I read it years ago, but I think it follows the book better than the second one. It was a pretty standard action film. Like, it was good and I enjoyed it and I'd watch it again. And yeah, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. The next film I watched was the Oscar-nominated I, Tonya. When the whole Tonya Harding controversy went down, that went down a month before I was born, and so I had no idea who Tonya Harding was. I like researched her when this film came out because like the ads were everywhere, and I was like, who's Tonya Harding? And I was like, oh, that's terrible. She like attacked Nancy Kerrigan, I think. And I was like, oh, that's not good, and I wasn't that interested, but I really wanted to watch the movie because the movie looked very interesting, and I loved it. I thought the film was fantastic. I think it tells a different version of the story than we have been told through the media. It talks about how there's no one version of the truth, and everyone has their own version of the truth, and that's very true. Whenever anything happens, there's always multiple sides to a story. There's not just one way to look at it. There's never just one point of view. And it was very interesting because her life was destroyed basically by the press because they hated her. First of all of her odds in life were stacked against her, and then her life was destroyed. It's just very interesting. I highly recommend it. I think it was great acting, it was really emotional, it was really well done. And normally I don't like Oscar-nominated movies. I feel like that's been changing recently. By recently, I mean this year, but I still really liked it. I thought it was really good. I really liked how they tackled the idea that to us, it's entertainment when we see someone's life get like ruined in the media, like Lindsay Lohan and etc, etc. Like, we just watch that and we're like, oh my gosh, that's so sad. It's like entertainment kind of, but it's actually someone's life that we're watching, and it's terrible. And so that's kind of what happened to Tonya Harding. I'm not saying all press and all media is bad. Obviously a lot of it is very good, and I think it's necessary, freedom of the press, etc, etc. But I thought it was a really good movie, and it really made me think about the truth and how it's told. Anyway, I'd give that movie an 8 out of 10. The only book I read this month was Six of Crows. Look at how cool this book is. Like, look, it's got black pages, and then the inside it's like red, and then like, isn't that cool? It's really cool. So, the beginning of Six of Crows was really hard to follow, and I think that's because there's the Grisha trilogy that you don't have to read before, but it would probably help to read before, but I don't think it's that necessary. You will still understand the story if you don't. But there was like a lot of background because there was like a civil war that happened, and so they like referenced that, and they're like, well, because of that, this is how I lived life, and I'm like, wait, what? I'm a little bit confused. And you're kind of just thrown into this fantasy story, and I normally love fantasy. I love books or movies where there's like a different language, there's different alphabet, there's different everything. I love those sort of stories. I really love things that are completely different from reality, and I love learning new worlds because it like lets my imagination like create it and be like, wow, this is so cool. But this book started out with no background information, so it was really hard for me to initially create this world because I was like, what's going on? Like, I don't know what's real. Oh, you guys have pistols? Okay, so it's not like ancient times, so because you have pistols, but then you also have like knives and swords and stuff, so I'm confused. So initially it was hard for me to understand the background, but once I did, it was really well done. It's basically about 6 characters who are going to do a heist, and the story is told from different perspectives of the different characters, and it's very interesting because you find out all of their backgrounds piece by piece, and the story keeps going and you're like seeing it from different perspectives, and it's very, very interesting. I thought it was really well written. I thought the structure of the story was fantastic. Initially I was like, why aren't you providing background? Because normally I can catch on to worlds pretty quickly, but I think it's because I didn't read the Grisha trilogy, but I still caught on eventually, and I thought it was a really good book. It was a really interesting read, and before I even finished it, I bought the sequel because there's a second one. It still hasn't arrived yet. It's supposed to arrive today. Anyway, I'm very excited to read that one because I got really invested in the characters. Initially, I was like, yeah, you guys are interesting. And at the end, I was like, oh my gosh, I like want to be part of a heist. I mean, not really because it sounds terrible, but it just was really exciting. And I really like this book. I would give it an 8 out of 10. Last but not least, I watched probably the most highly anticipated movie of this month, and it was Black Panther. Black Panther was great. It was great storytelling. I loved all the characters. I feel like oftentimes when there are a lot of different characters in a film, you get a very shallow narrative of every single one of them, and you don't really know any of them. You just like know that they do this and they do that. But I don't think that was the case in Black Panther. I feel like you really got to understand all of the characters and a little bit of their backgrounds, kind of, and like who they are and stuff. Okay, not that much of their backgrounds, but who they are and what their purpose is in the story. I thought it had a great message. Wow, it was fantastic. Even the villain, played by Michael B. Jordan, Killmonger, really well done. Really well done. Basically, it picks up after Civil War, and it's about King T'Challa finding his place as king and what kind of king he's gonna be. And I love the message of you get to decide what kind of king you're going to be. And I like that because he really takes his destiny and makes it his own. And I mean, I don't want to give anything away, but it was great. Great movie. I'd also give that an 8 out of 10. So I realize I gave everything an 8 out of 10. It's because I loved everything. Yeah, I would give them all an 8 out of 10. I loved them all. I would watch them all again in theaters, and I know I'm gonna reread this book. So I loved them all. So that is it for my February mediums in review. Again, I'm sorry it's coming out in March, but I hope you like it, and I highly recommend all of these. Again, if you guys like these videos, let me know. If you guys like them, please give it a big thumbs up, and also if you're not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Bye!